Hello there and welcome back to another review. So carrying on working our way through this Shaw Brothers Volume 2 box set, I thought today we'd have a look at one of Lau Kar-leung's lighter, more comedic movies, and that is My Young Auntie, made in 1981. And what is great about this movie is it really brings out Kara Hui or Kara Wei, however you want to call it, but it really brings her to the centre and shows what a great, amazing talent she is. Having appeared in many of the Lau Kar-leung and Shaw Brothers movies, I mean, no movie makes her shine quite as bright as what she does here. Along with the ride here, we have Lau Kar-leung himself and Hsiao Ho, and always got the impression these three, along of course with Gordon Liu, but especially with Lau Kar-leung, Hsiao Ho and Kara Hui, you can tell this trio here really enjoyed working together because they're in a lot of movies together. Lau Kar-leung has said, I think he went on paper, right on record, saying that Hsiao Ho is probably one of, if not the most gifted person he ever worked with in terms of his moves and what he can do in front of the camera. And he obviously enjoyed working with Kara Wei because she's in loads of his movies. But they have great camaraderie in this movie. And showing what a force Kara Hui was in this movie. She actually got Best Actress at the first Hong Kong Film Awards, which is no small feat. And she's one of these actresses that over the years she's just kept on working, being in TV dramas and a huge collection of movies. But it's maybe she didn't at Shaw Brothers and working with Lau Kar-leung that she's probably done, some of her most memorable roles. This movie here was made in 1981, so it's actually one of the latter Shaw Brothers movies. I think no other movie showed the difference between a filmmaker like Lau Kar-leung and someone like Cheng Chi, the later being more about macho, tough, vengeance-seeking kung fu master types, usually resulting in a lot of bloodshed. But Lau Kar-leung, like with people like Jackie Chan, the likes of Sammo Hung, and let's not forget like Yuen Woo-ping, were more than happy to poke fun at the kung fu genre. We're not, we didn't want to always take it like that seriously. To have more slapstick, to have more humour, to make their movies a lot more light-hearted. Though it's Cheng Chi who gave her work in movies like Chinatown Kid and Invincible Shaolin, it was Lau Kar-leung who really took her to the next level and was more than happy for her to take centre stage as well. Even in this movie, it's Hsiao Ho for a while who takes over as Kara takes a back seat for a while. Along with, say, Mad Monkey Kung Fu, this is another Hsiao Ho vehicle where you can tell he really does seem to be enjoying himself. Like, Hsiao Ho in this movie is really enjoying himself in this one and having a ball in the process. And it's a shame they didn't package like sort of Lady is the Boss with this box set, as that is a movie with Kara which works in the similar themes as sort of My Young Auntie, but you can't. We don't always get everything, do we? You can't always have it your own way, but it would have been wonderful if they put that in the box set as well. I really wish Arrow would get around to releasing more Shaw Brothers movies. But, I wish, I know Volume 3 and everything, but there's so many Shaw Brothers movies. It's like they're sort of drip feeding us sort of the Shaw Brothers back catalogue. There's so many, which is annoying, but I mean the fact is I'm just, as a fan, I'm just happy they're getting released. I'm so happy that as I'm sure many of you are, I'm so happy that so many of the classic Shaw Brothers movies are becoming available, not just for me so I can have them in my sort of collection again and Blu-rays and things like this, but just so new people, the new generation can enjoy them all over again and just enjoy what classic amazing movies they are. And like Kara, I mean, she's often overlooked when it comes to female kung fu stars, often overshadowed by the likes of sort of maybe your Angela Maos or your Michelle Yeohs over the years, but Kara's place and input is just as important and noteworthy as, and My Young Auntie is a prime example of what made her so awesome. She had the looks, she had the fighting skills, she could fight, she had comedic talent there as well. She basically had it all. She was also in like the Inspector Wears Skirts movies. I don't know if any of you have seen them as well. So we start with the evil Wang Lung-wei. God is just another Shaw Brothers movie where this guy is the bad guy. So he's wanting to get his hands on his brother's estate as he is ill and dying. Kara Hui playing Tai Nan is like his adoptive daughter, and he tells her that once he has passed to take the deeds and will to I think it's Yu Cheng Chuan, and he wants to make Kara his wife. So then we flash forward, this guy has passed and Kara is on a boat on her travels. We meet Lau Kar-leung doing some nice forms as Master Yu, who goes to the pier to meet Kara, who's actually sort of his auntie. And the guy who died was sort of his uncle, and that dynamic already is quite funny. I think, how by marriage she has like become his aunt, and we have a fight right away with Kara beating up these guys from a rickshaw. And I think at this point as well, she just had surgery of some kind at this stage, and I think it was an appendectomy, and had to be super careful of not tearing or ripping her stitches and things like that. Notice away here how Lau Kar-leung makes great use of location, which only adds to the film. Kar-leung seems most natural in this movie too, almost like he isn't having to act that much, as he's sort of playing the part perfectly. Maybe even one of my favourite roles, I think, personally, from Lau Kar-leung. He just seems to be at home in this movie. He seems very settled in his character, sort of that senior sort of master role, and sort of like Hsiao Ho, sort of the younger sort of whippersnapper, sort of causing trouble, who's sort of a bit more modernised than what he is. But as I say, seems very, very comfortable here. Even little things like his assistant is a bit deaf and he has to keep on shouting things at him. Just add little things like that, just make things a little, just them little comedic moments. So Lau Kar-leung is the old man's brother. He's like sort of the old man's brother's fourth son or something like that. Again, just go with it. And I think Lung-wei is like the third uncle. Everyone got that? Doesn't really matter. And like Hsiao Ho's character is his son and sort of Kara Hoi's grandnephew. So we'll just go with that. So like with Heroes of the East, we see a lot more modern things in this movie. We see suits, sunglasses. So Lung-wei is just after the cash, basically. And Hsiao Ho returns home after studying English in Hong Kong, and check out his snazzy haircut as well in this movie. And I love how they make his character like a hybrid of Chinese and sort of Western cultures. Even his dialogue with the movie, he goes from Cantonese to English a lot of the time. I do like the classic dub in a lot of these Shaw Brothers movies because that's how I sort of grew up watching them. But by and large, nowadays, I usually more often watch the movies in the original language as they were intended. Dubs can be quite classic in terms of, especially some of the old school dubs, because some of them are so sort of, that's the only way you could watch the movies back in the day. So some of the dubs do have sort of fond memories for a lot of people, because it's like, oh, I love, I've got to have the classic dub, and it just sometimes it just takes you back to when you saw the movie. But by and large, I will watch a film, whether it's in Cantonese or Mandarin, I will watch it in the original language. So if you watch this, I say he goes from Cantonese to English a lot of time. He calls himself Charlie, which Kara doesn't understand when they meet, and it's a great role for Hsiao Ho, and really, like I mentioned, he really does get to shine here. So no sooner have they met and the two have a fight as Charlie shows off some boxing, northern and southern kung fu. They exchange some flips as well. I mean, it's only natural, isn't it, right? It's only natural when you meet a relative, or sometimes just bust out your kung fu moves. And you have to love how Kara actually takes some sadistic pleasure in watching Charlie be punished, even though he's wearing padding, so he sort of doesn't get hurt. Even like when he pretends to sort of faint, she's like, "Oh, just rub some herbal oil on him." She's not that worried at all. He sort of pretends to be in pain all night long, and she is concerned at first, but then she would much rather just let him get on with it. So Charlie starts perving on her, basically, as him and his dad Yu are trying to hang some art scrolls on the wall, and she and Charlie go into town, and she is fascinated by everything as she is from the country, right? Like the signs, the dresses, the jewellery, etc. And she's got this whole fish out of water thing going on. So she gets this sort of really sexy white dress and some heels that she can barely walk in. A fight begins, and all these sleazy guys want her to kick higher. You can probably guess as to why. Yeah, as I say, she's got this dress on, and I do love this scene as her and Charlie, this is where they start comparing moves as they beat these guys up, and check out an awesome free kick combo that Hsiao Ho does here that I love. And she returns to Yu with her dress ripped, stockings torn, her hair all over the place. And so Charlie the son is getting all fed up with formalities and traditions, as he is like a modern kid. And look out for Gordon Liu in this one, sporting not only a wig but also a guitar. He comes in this packing a guitar as well. And what is weird is when you see Liu playing the guitar at this party in this movie, it does look like he is fretting actual chords. I swear he definitely makes a C chord and D chord shape. I swear he does. Now at this point, there is not much in the way of plot to be told at this point in the movie, just about Charlie and Dan Nan trying to bond, get on and get the better of each other. So after guilt tripping her, he makes her want to come to this party after a semi-song and dance routine. And I have to love how Ho comes done up as Robin Hood at this ball, and check out Gordon Liu's blonde wig that he has now. And this scene in this movie, if you have seen this, is really weird. It is really weird to watch. Like, they all dance with her and she hates it, right? Like, it comes across as bullying, and I'm sure it's played for laughs, but it does play more uncomfortable than it should do. While Wang Lung-wei's goons intrude on the party, done up like Three Musketeers. Then we have some fencing. I remember this is done like a few years before like Sammo included it on Wheels on Meals as well. And with the wigs, masks and costumes, it's probably one of Lau Kar-leung's most bizarre scenes. Like, it's a really trippy, weird, warped scene that I'm sure on paper and when they were shooting it, thought it didn't seem that weird. But when you watch it, it's just really bizarre. It's really bizarre, and there's something almost unsettling about this scene in the movie. It's nothing nothing sort of super horrible that happens, but it's sort of a really weird part of the movie. So Charlie and Kara get arrested on a bonus tip-off about them selling opium. So after this plot, and after Master Yu bails them out, they return to find the house deeds have been taken. Like, suddenly, the main plot and driving force of the narrative comes back into the movie, and that happens so many times in kung fu movies. Like, they will establish something in the first 5 minutes, then for about an hour, it's just comedic, sort of random encounters, whether it's a guy in the market or a student doing some training. Then sometimes, using the last 20, if not even 10 minutes, the plot will randomly kick back in. So suddenly we're back in with the narrative, and they start recruiting the other uncles. It all goes all like Star Wars here, with Kara showing them a map and the best way to sneak in and their weaknesses. And the movie at this point turns into like a mini sort of training movie, with her and Ho trying to train the old guys, and watch these guys form like a bouquet with their bodies, which is probably one of the most inventive things I've ever seen in a kung fu movie. And you also have to give full credit to Lau Kar-leung and just how much of a back seat he was willing to take in his own movies. And a lot of the time, like with Sammo Hung, Lau Kar-leung, very generous, great director, really valued, loved the director's chair, more so I think than being in front of the camera. Much like with Sammo Hung, happy to be in front of the camera, happy to have his own movies, but really enjoyed that director's chair as well, and was more than happy to let other people shine and show off their stuff. If you like a prime example, like where Lau Kar-leung and Sammo Hung are just letting other people, they come along for the ride, they direct the movie, but they let somebody else show off loads. Two movies like Sammo Hung's Knockabout and Lau Kar-leung's Mad Monkey Kung Fu. You watch them two movies, you got Yuen Pugh and Sao Ho, Lau Kar-leung and Sammo Hung. But they're both, a similar type. Both of their movies are sort of, not necessarily in terms of plot, but in just the overall feelness of the film. But they're both happy to let somebody else shine, let somebody else take the lead, let somebody else be the focus, let somebody else be the main star. But I'll do everything else though. I'll produce it, I'll direct it, I'll do the choreography and everything. But, you can be the star. But as I say, he was always more than willing to take a bit of a back seat. So, check out Charlie when he gets into his military get-up, kind of foreshadowing Eastern Condors here. Eastern Condors, a movie Sao Ho would also appear in. And funny when he asks her, why are you dressed like a heroine in folklore, and says that he is wearing field gear when they are sneaking into this place. It's funny as he's sort of gone all military at this point, right? He's like, I think there are landmines, and what makes it even funnier is there are actually landmines. Which I remember when I first saw that, I belly laughed, because you think he's being stupid, like landmines. You don't see landmines in a kung fu. Lo and behold, there is actually landmines there. So what I love about all these tracks is that it's so fun and it almost borders on sort of an Indiana Jones type deal at the end. And also Lau Kar-leung is directing his arse off here over what is its core a very silly plot. And I mean that in the best way. I mean that in a complimentary way. And the fight breaks out, and so awesome yet surreal, seeing Sao Ho fight in an army uniform in a period kung fu movie. Even at this point, our two leads are still competing about how many of them they have cut, and even have Wilson Tong turning up in this movie. Wang Lung-wei wants her to sign everything over. Now, what is interesting here is you think this is the end fight, right? You think, okay, right, we're at the end. This is the end. Like, this is a showdown. But it isn't, as they basically get owned and send Charlie packing. But of course, there had to be a point. If you would go back to where we were just a minute ago with them, like these uncles they were training. There had to be a point to the elderly uncles. In a way, you actually get sort of two endings on the brothers' estate, a first and second attack, so to speak. And when the fight begins here is when you begin to realise the movie is actually quite epic. It actually does border on epicness. Awesome bow staff work here from Ho, and check out like Lau Kar-leung's sword work. The real pity about the ending, unfortunately, as epic as it is Kara is reduced to being taken, like, bear in mind, I look at this as her movie, right? Kara Hoyt, I think it's pretty much her movie. I think this is pretty much her deal. But she's being reduced to, like, pretty much taking a back seat at this point. But the saving grace here is, guess, that you think, to complement that, you think Lau Kar-leung isn't in the movie that much, but boy does he get to shine at the end, right? You know what I mean? I think Lau Kar-leung, as much as he was happy to take a back seat, he's like the end in the finale. He's like, no, I'm going to get in on that. I'm going to be in the ending as well. I want some of the action. Ho gets to show off his chain whip skills as well. Wang, Lung-wei and Ho get into it, and suddenly it becomes a kung fu movie, right? Suddenly it becomes a kung fu movie. Then Kar-leung takes him on. You know Wang Lung-wei means business when he goes topless. You know damn well this guy, he means business now. So as I say, though, real shame Kara wasn't in the end fight after she was such a big deal up to this point. It was carrying the movie. Make no mistake, the film is quite long too. It's longer than your average Shaw Brothers movie. Many have said as well the film's too long and it drags, but I never found that. I never felt the film drags. Yes, you know, some scenes slowed down, and I think you could probably argue that with mainly probably 75% of kung fu movies. They all have one or two scenes that do maybe slow the film down a little bit. But in terms of, like, you know, My Young Auntie, I've never found that. And like I say, it's quite a long movie, but I've never felt like it slows down. But I enjoyed the movie. I wasn't like, oh my god, it's come to a standstill. You know, the movie ends with Kara speaking some English, saying she is Susie, and as always, the film just ends. But the fact you've got Lau Kar-leung, Hsiao Ho, and Kara Wei in this movie, Kara Hoyt, you've got a great just them, that trio alone. We've got Wang Lung-wei as your villain as always. A lot of comedic moments here and there, and in many ways sort of a very, like I mentioned earlier, more light-hearted Lau Kar-leung vehicle. Definitely miles apart and different from something like Shang-Chi would do, that kind of movie. But I absolutely love My Young Auntie. I'd say I can watch Hsiao Ho, Lau Kar-leung any day, and so with the added bonus of Kara here really getting to shine, just makes the film really magical and worth checking out. So thank you for joining me for the review. Make sure to let me know what you thought of My Young Auntie. Do you enjoy it? Do you, like some people have said, they find it too long? Do you find it too long? Do you think it's the pace is just right? Do you think the film maybe could have been a bit shorter? And just let me know what you thought of the movie. So thank you very much for joining me for the review. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Take care.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.